I'm just going to start right now. I'm starting now. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast, wow, is brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook using promo code RTRS. Also brought to you by Adam Kasabi, the official realtor of the process, and SeatGeek. SeatGeek. Get $20 off your first purchase by using promo code RTRS on the SeatGeek app. Today on the show, me, no Spike. He's gone. There's been a mutiny. CJ kicked his ass out. CJ said, no more, take a break. Go to timeout. There's no Rebel talk. There's no Yankees hats. And there's definitely no recounting a Paul Millsap story from years ago. We got two great guests for you today. Tyler Tynes from GQ Magazine to talk about the state of the Sixers, and our own Mike O'Connor to do several hours on the Sixers Summer League win over the Mavs, because Spike can't stop me from doing it. CJ, play the song.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Okay, on the show today, we have myself, Mike Levin, no Spike, and filling in, one of the two guests we'll have today is Tyler Tynes, the Fresh Prince of North Philadelphia, and first staff sports writer in GQ Magazine history. Tyler, what's going on?
Crazy stat sheet. Shout out North Philly already. You know what I mean? Shout out my Uncle Zoe. Shout out my brother Darian. You know what I mean? Shout out to the streets. Y'all know who y'all is. We here.
Absolutely. We here. How are you feeling about the Sixers? Because you've now taken this big, very, I would say a sexy job that has not existed before. That is a move that I have not been equipped to handle. Of just like, I'm inventing a new position and they're giving it to me and I'm the first one. So, but I think doing that, you've been doing these awesome interviews. I've really enjoyed them a lot with various, mostly NBA players, but I've also enjoyed like Jazz Chisholm articles, well, a bunch of other ones. You seem a little bit, now you're further away from the Sixers. How are you feeling about the Sixers right now? We haven't like gotten there in a bit, I think.
You know, it's funny. I feel closer to the Sixers than I felt, before, because before I was just covering, racing sports, for the most part, and, getting some blogs off here and there. But now, we done did the courtside with Quavo and the private jet with Ruben and a band interview. And, you know what I mean? Like we've been in Philly. For real. So I feel like I know even more than I may have known before. So ain't too bad.
What was it like sitting courtside with Quavo?
Oh, that's my guy. So, wasn't too bad. Wasn't too bad. He's a good shit talker, I will say. He's an elite shit talker. There was a point when we were sitting courtside where, we was shit in the bed, as the Sixers are known to do. Absolutely. And he FaceTimes Offset and shows Offset the game as Trae Young is hitting a jumper, and then turns Offset's camera to me, and he's like, look at these fuck ass Philly fans, and I'm like what? And so, he's a grade A shit talker.
I feel like Atlanta is a cool city, and I don't have anything bad to say about Atlanta, but the Hawks are not a cool team. Like I feel so much shame from losing to the Hawks in the second round. Like the fucking like Al Horford Hawks, the fucking like Paul Millsap, Kyle Korver Hawks, that it's just, I haven't shaken it yet. Did you feel that at all? Or because you were with Quavo, it's like, all right, it was a reasonable matchup there?
So I was at game 1, with Quavius. And I was at game 7 with a buddy of mine. And I have never seen in 27, 28 years, I've never seen Philadelphia fans that viscerally upset. Yeah. And not just at the team. Like, people were throwing drinks and things of that nature, but like not at the team, at Ben Simmons.
Sure.
And I don't think in my adult life I have ever seen someone that hated universally by a fan base. And it was striking because, you know, I like Ben. I think he's a solid dude. But I think he certainly has to answer for a lot of the questions that he's left on the floor for the last few seasons now. When you got somebody like Doc Rivers, who is cool to defend him all the time until the last game of the season, I don't know if there could be too many hurt feelings with that.
Yeah. I think it happened quick, right? Because Ben, I think the same thing with Markelle. It was like, at least Sixers fans, because it's different than, I think it's a smaller pool of people than Eagles fans generally. And so it's like Sixers fans are like, we want to ride for our players. We want to feel like there are guys and we'll fight you for them. And like, we feel like even if they got weaknesses, we all got weaknesses. Like, we're going to overcome it. Like, we believe in these guys. And then at the stage of the breakup that becomes the like, it's untenable, then like everything goes out the window. And every situation that was like, well, we defended this. Now it's like, no, we're coming back on that like 4 times harder. And I think that's kind of what happened with Ben, that just happened very suddenly. It was a quick, hard left turn from that. Do you feel that?
No, but see, this is the thing, right? A lot of how we define Philadelphia fandom is through the guys and through the eyes of the white fan. And so when you think nationally of Philadelphia and nationally of what our fandom could offer, you don't think of people like me. You don't think of the people that I talk to back where I'm from who have felt certain ways about teams, sports, fans for a long time. It don't look like us. And so if you going where I'm going, everybody from where I'm from has been hated Ben Simmons, has been off the Ben Simmons train, has been off, you know, very clearly defined. I think people on the internet don't want to be off Ben Simmons, and that's fine too. I think you have value in both places. You have an all-star caliber, always going to be defensive player of the year category type of guy who can stretch the floor, super athletic, fast players in the NBA, and can take your best person on defense any day of the week. Other side of it is you can't pass the ball in that situation in Game 7 at home. That's irredeemable. You can't come back from that. And so if we're at a stalemate, I mean, I would probably bet with the organization before I bet with Ben. I just hope all parties get everything sorted out the way they want it to.
Yeah. I think it's been such an interesting guy. I think he's such because he hasn't given us much personality. Like, he hasn't let us in that much as to the kind of guy he is. He just like, he plays his video games. He has his big dogs. His family's from Australia, interesting stuff. But like, he's not like raw emotion at any point in his life, at least publicly. And then his skills are not that of a, you know, franchise changing player, the kind of archetype that you build your team around. But like, defense matters, versatility on defense matters, setting guys up to hit shots. Even if he's not hitting threes, he created a ton of threes. But like, his offensive game as far as creating for himself, whether that's getting to the rim and finishing at the rim, or obviously shooting anything at all, or being willing to like go at the rim, like put his head down, be the stronger guy that he is than everybody else. He doesn't want to get to the line still. So it becomes I feel like that is I think to your point, that's a very like some corner of the internet. That's that kind of player, like efficiency in some ways, but like for some parts, not on the internet, maybe it's like, well, go get me a bucket. Like, go get me a bucket.
It's a very simple thing. It's a very simple thing. Why do you think people go so hard for DeMar DeRozan? Because no matter what anybody says, DeMar DeRozan, as long as it ain't like the deep three, could probably go out there and get you a bucket. Yeah. A hard bucket, a tough bucket, an easy bucket. He can go get you a bucket. That's the type of guy he is. So everybody's always going to love somebody like that. Maybe not on the internet, but everybody going to love somebody like that because if I need a bucket, the core value of basketball says you can go get me 2 points. The issue always will come back to Ben Simmons of not that he's not a great passer, not that he's not a great defender, not that he's, again, one of the most versatile players on defense or on offense if he wants to. It is a lack of wherewithal. It is a lack of stick-to-itiveness. It's a lack of want to. You know what I'm saying? You can defend a whole lot of shit, but I can't defend you passing the ball with Trae Young on your back and Danilo Gallinari on the side of the court. I can't do that, right? It's impossible. Yeah. But if you were just willing to shoot the basketball, which we know you could do. We know you can shoot the basketball. We've seen you do that. If you were just willing to shoot the basketball, we wouldn't have as many issues as we have currently. We'd be easy. It's easy to defend you. You know, one of my editors used to always say to me, "I always go to bat for you, but you got to put a bullet in my gun. I can't go shoot for you if it ain't nothing there." And it's the same thing. If I can't work with this, I can't keep making excuses for your poor play. This all works out. You know, when I talked to Ben and we talked about this, I'm all cool. You know, if you want to play your role. If Doc Rivers says, this is what you're going to do, you don't got to score too much, you just impact the game, be the motor of the team, right? Tobias goes out, does his thing. Joel goes out, does his thing. Danny Green occasionally does his thing. Maxey, whoever. As long as you win in games, you can't fault Ben Simmons.
Sure.
But when the game is on Ben Simmons' shoulder, Ben Simmons doesn't show up. Can't defend that.
Yeah, for sure. It's hard to disagree with that. And especially like it's been a few years of that. This isn't the first time. This isn't like he's not a rookie anymore. We've done this for a few years. He's now had a second coach. Like we've just seen this. We've seen this game too many times, and we are the ticking clock of Joel's career, which hopefully goes on for long and long. But like we got to maximize it. We can't just be waiting anymore. There was an off-season shooting video that was posted.
I don't need no more of it.
I know. Well, here's the thing. I don't need any more of him at all either. And I definitely don't need to watch it and feel like I believe it's going to happen. He's shooting with Rondo, like he's hitting 3 in a row, whatever.
You're not impressing me by shooting jumpers with Rajon Rondo. It took Rajon Rondo 18 years to learn how to shoot a jump shot. I don't. That's not what I need. I'm need nothing like that.
I'm set. Here's my only concern. Trading him to another team, and all of a sudden he starts doing that. Like,
don't be a punk. Don't be a punk. No, it's too.
Me don't be a punk, or him don't be a punk.
Don't be a punk. Don't look.
Yeah, that's fair.
We not bringing him back.
I'm a natural punk. My resting state is a guy that is like scared money don't make money. I'm scared. Like scared resting face.
Don't be a punk. All right, it's not what this fan base is about. Don't be a coward. I mean, stand up. You know, come on, bench. You know, straighten your back. Stand up. All I'm saying is he can't come back. There's no world where either party is happy if he comes back. There's no world. There's no world that Daryl Morey and the ownership group and all of these people, plus Ben Simmons and Rich Paul and Clutch, nobody is going to be happy if he returns. Because in some iterations, you know, Ben felt like he didn't deserve to get chewed out. And that's okay. In other iterations, if you're Doc, if you're Joel Embiid, it's been a few years coming. So we could all only do this so much. The fans don't want him here. He don't want to be here. And the team doesn't seem, no matter what the team says, it doesn't seem in any way that anybody wants them to stay. So let's make everybody happy. Get him going. Go play for the Golden State Warriors. That's fine. Go play for the Kings. I don't give a damn. Figure it out. You can't be here though.
So the question is, how long do you hold out for like the guy to trade him for, right? Because you could trade him for a C+ return right now. We can do this. Everybody can move on. You can start growing. You can hope that like Maxey takes a big step forward. You can hope a bunch of things, and you bring in like maybe CJ and Covington, and you have like a good basketball team around Joel Embiid with a couple guys that can create, enough guys that can defend, enough guys that can shoot. But like, is that the kind of return that you want to get for a team that has a championship aspirations? Because I don't look at that team and go, CJ and Cov right here. I don't look at that team and go like, yeah, that team can beat Brooklyn if they're healthy. I don't even know that team can beat Milwaukee if they're healthy. So how long do you wait and hold your cards to the chest before you say like, all right, we can't wait for Dame, let's do this?
Well, to be very honest, that depends on Ben Simmons. Because the power is not in the ownership group's hands. You know, the person you're waiting for is Dame Lillard. You're waiting for Dame Lillard to come out and say the Portland Trailblazers organization is dog shit. And because of that, I can't be here no more.
And they are.
And so, and they are. Okay. And so if that's the case, right, if you're Daryl Morey in that Sixers front office, you are waiting for Dame Lillard to say, trade me. The issue with that is that it's fool's gold, because if Ben Simmons at any time comes out and says, I don't want to play for the Philadelphia 76ers anymore, you don't have leverage. And so you can't, first of all, It's either he come back or you get Dame. It ain't no in between. There are no other players out there. De'Aaron Fox is not leaving Sacramento. All these mysteries Philadelphia fans make up, they're fables. No one is switching teams. The heat of the moment is over. All of the chips have fallen. It's Dame Lillard comes to Philadelphia or Ben Simmons stays in Philadelphia. Because here's the other thing. If you get a return for Ben Simmons, that does not flip into this team having a real chance to win a championship this year. It's over. It's over. And to be honest with you, it might already be over. And so we need to keep that in stock. Is that if Ben Simmons comes back, either he's shooting jumpers,
he's not,
or we right back where we've been the last 3-4 seasons.
Yeah, because then how long does Joel do the thing? We're waiting for Dame to ask for a trade. Then how long does Joel until I ask for a trade?
Well, I'll tell. Look, hey, Joel took a time bomb. All right. Look,
you didn't feel any relaxation based on Joel and Daryl Morey hitting tennis balls back and forth out on the streets?
Joel and Daryl is cool with each other. That's not the issue. That's not the issue. Look, if Ben Simmons back on this team, I don't know what's going to happen. I promise you that. I don't know what's going to happen.
I think he holds out.
I don't think he's built like that. I don't think he's going to hold out. I think, maybe the people who represent him might want him to do that, but we've got a very long time before training camp and before games start.
Yeah.
And so, this could be over next week. This could be over next year. But Ben Simmons commands a certain price tag, which means there's only but a few players who can come back in return for Ben Simmons. If you look around the league right now, Kyle Lowry is in Miami. There's been extensions handed out left and right all across the league.
Yep.
I don't know if it's not Dame Lillard, who else it would be logically. And if it's not, I don't know who else is left that is supposed to be of equal weight. I don't know what amount of players you could give up. I don't know if you take all the resources from Oklahoma City. This is a man-made problem. It is not only Ben Simmons' fault. It's a man-made problem. And so you can't just start with the fruit. You got to start with the root of the tree. If you can't flip this guy, if you can't bring him back, the whole organization has an issue. And I don't know how you fix it.
How do you feel like NBA players look at the Sixers right now? Because Philly is not in the top 5 media markets, but they're not outside the top 10. They have a superstar that guys, especially shooters, probably should want to play with in Joel. Passionate fan base, history. Got a lot of these guys grew up watching Iverson, so they know how hot it can get. But it doesn't feel like anyone has ever really chosen Philadelphia. And
name the top free agents that's come to Philadelphia in the last decade.
Almost nobody.
There's your answer. I mean,
people stay, but I don't think they don't come, People
don't want to play in Utah. People don't want to play in Boston. People used to not really want to play in New York. But as long as white people in Philadelphia keep throwing shit at black players, I can't tell you how many people want to come and play here either. It's disgraceful. It's disgraceful. And it is disgraceful that a city is able to exist off a certain idea and ethos and use that as a cudgel to go to bullying, to racism, to xenophobia. And so we got to clean our shit up first before y'all could ever think somebody want to come and play here. Because the reality that Philadelphia fans don't really want to realize is that we are as bad as Boston. We are as bad as Salt Lake. We are as bad as Indiana and all these other places where this shit goes on. And we deserve it because it is a man-made problem. Just like our franchises, the Sixers, the Eagles, whoever it may be, that's always in turmoil for the last century or so, since the 21st century started. We have built this problem. So we reap what we sow. I mean, if I'm a player in the NBA right now, and I can go play in Miami, or I can go play in a great system in Toronto, or I can be in LA with LeBron, or the other LA that's competing, or I can even be somewhere chill like Phoenix or Charlotte. Like at what point should I want to come and play for a team who can't figure out its identity, for an organization that runs people off, for a medical staff in the last 10 years that has done not right by anybody.
Yep.
At what point should I want to be here? Honestly, I love my city. I love the Sixers. I love everything that I have, in the organization. But like, why would I want to come? Why would I want to be here if I'm a player? Now, look, I don't think it's as bad as Boston, but why would I want to be here, man?
Yeah. You don't feel like there's some level of lowest common denominator anywhere in Phoenix or Charlotte or LA where I am? Like there's racist assholes everywhere. It's just a matter of, it feels it's magnified by the media in Philadelphia because of the reputation it already has.
I think the reputation, as a bridge to go somewhere else is certainly not warranted all the time. But the thing I will say is that we do ourselves no favors.
That's fair.
Look at the playoffs, right? People come back into the stadiums, and the cities that are on the big screens for the issues are Philadelphia and New York. And when you talk to players around that time, even before you brought up the incidents, they named Philadelphia first. So it's not just the media perception, right? That certainly does help. But when you actually go and talk to these players, especially around the time of the playoffs, and you say, how do you feel about the incidents? Oh, you mean that shit that happened to Russ in Philadelphia? That's the first thing they say. And so, again, we reap what we sow, but I think a little bit of winning would help, I think a little bit less dysfunction would help. You can get over a lot of shit if you just be winning some games.
Amen, man. That is a little more winning, a little less dysfunction could be good for everybody. Well, I appreciate you coming on, and it's been good to have you on here and talking about this fucked up franchise that we all love. What else you got coming up on GQ? I really have genuinely enjoyed all the stuff you're putting out. The Scottie Pippen thing obviously broke the internet for a while. What else? Anything else cooking?
Man, I'm digging my pockets, man. Come on, what you doing, man? Gonna ask me what's coming. What's coming is the same shit that been coming the last 6 months. This gold, that's what's coming. I will say there is something real interesting coming. Probably, what's today? Give it a week. Give it a week. It's something real interesting coming in a week.
All right, cool, man. Tyler Tynes, GQ, fashion, basketball connoisseur. I appreciate you coming on.
They just paying me. No, I appreciate you for having me, man. For real. Thank you.
We take a break from whatever it is we were talking about to talk about our sponsor, DraftKings. DraftKings. We love DraftKings. It is our favorite time of the year, right around the corner, college football season. I actually really enjoy college football in that I don't care about it at all. So when there's ever a storyline or a fun team or like a wacky coach, I just enjoy digesting it without really knowing anything at all. So that's very fun. And gambling on it using the Sportsbook is also very fun. So to celebrate college football season, CJ, DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top rated sportsbook app, is putting new players in the center of the action with $200 in free bets instantly if you bet $1 or more on any college football game. So take advantage of this offer because it's really good. $200 for nothing, basically. A lot of money. So head to the DraftKings Sportsbook app now to check out all the great promotions and daily odds boosts that they're offering. It's a safe and secure, reliable app located right here in the United States. So it's easy to deposit, withdraw your money at your convenience whenever you want. So download it, gamble on it, throw some bets. There's always a wacky SEC coach. There's somebody, Tommy Tuberville's a senator. What are we doing here? It's crazy. What a fun thing. So get involved in some college football. Do some bets. It's very fun. Must be 21 or older. New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Or in Indiana, which I know you are, 1-800-9-WITH-IT. What a number. All right. Welcome back to the podcast. We have the rights to Ricky Sanchez's own Mike O'Connor joining us. Very happy to say he is joining us to talk about the Summer Sixers Summer League team, my favorite thing to discuss, where everybody's good, everybody has potential, everybody is going to be a role player in some way. I'm very excited to talk about it. A 95-73 win over the Mavs. Mike, first of all, nice glasses. Second of all, how you doing?
I'm well. Thank you. I'm very excited to do 45 minutes on Charles Bassey.
Absolutely. First of all, Charles Bassey in street clothes because his agent told him not to play. Great transition. What do you think what do you make of that his agent said don't play? Does that seem to indicate like a roster spot coming soon? What do you think?
I think it's a good agent. First off, don't play unless you have a signed contract. I don't know. Maybe it's possible that they're like overplaying their hand right now, and the Sixers are just like, maybe they don't want to designate a roster spot to this guy. I thought he would just be on a two-way. But who knows, man? I mean, maybe we'll end up in like a KJ McDaniel situation where he just gets like a one-year deal or something like that.
Oh my God. I'm still wounded by that. Why are we still can we just get the guys? We have the young guys, just let them play, hang out. In my mind, it's hey, we know you're trading a several for one swap. Damian Lillard, we discussed on the previous segment. So maybe it's like, hey, sit tight because you could get an actual roster spot, and we don't want you to get hurt before that happens.
Yeah, that's true. I wish I knew, if it was like with the team's blessing or not. I would kind of guess that it's not. Just because, I don't know, maybe they would have like a handshake agreement where it's like, we're going to give you a contract no matter what, but we'll see how it plays out. I don't know. It's a weird situation. I'm not sure I've ever seen this before.
No, it does make sense though. If I was an agent protecting my player, I wonder if like Bassey feels like, yo, just let me play. I can prove myself to the Sixers or somebody else. It's a little bit out of sight, out of mind, but I think he'd be such a nice role man for Maxey to just be throwing lobs to. Before Maxey gets pulled from Summer League because he's too good. Speaking of, Tyrese Maxey is too good for Summer League. Come on. Have we ever had a guy, aside from the momentarily magnificent Korkmaz 40-point game, where he then, I think, followed it up with like almost zero. It was either zero or very close to zero in the second game. But have we ever had like a too good for Summer League? This is Maxey's first Summer League, which is technically a cheat because last Summer League didn't happen. Do you remember anybody?
No. I mean, even the Sixers had back-to-back number one picks, and like I don't think either of them looked that good in Summer League, I granted Ben had like cramps and stuff and Markelle got injured and whatever, but like that was just a level of dominance, like I'm too good to be here type thing that I have not seen a summer Sixer put on, man. I mean, how about Maxey, man? He's ridiculous. I mean, I love the way that Maxey talks about his game. Like when he just talks about how like, yeah, it's not an option if you want to shoot or not. Like you gotta put in the work. You gotta get 1% better every day. Like you don't hear NBA guys like talk about their games in that level of like self-awareness. It's like, I'm not comparing these guys as players, but like it reminded me of the way that Giannis talks about his game, where he's just so like crazy self-aware. And Maxey, I think, just has that work ethic and has that recognition, which is frankly just as important to be like, this is what I need to get better at. And he comes out just firing around pick and rolls from 28 feet like he's Damian Lillard. Like that is a really encouraging sign to me.
It is such a rare thing to see a guy, maybe just rare for the Sixers, I don't know, but see a guy be like, hey, I needed to get better at this and I needed to do it more often. And then the first game back, it's, hey, I'm doing that thing that everybody said I needed to get better at. And so for Maxey, it was pulling up off the dribble and he was letting it fly. Like he played like 24 minutes or something, took 6 threes. They were not easy catch and shoot threes. One was a step back that was beautiful. One was like a quick crossover. The big dropped and he just pulled and the shot looked good. I don't remember. Tell me if I'm wrong. You were high on Maxey, but not high on the shot coming out. Is that right?
Correct. Yep.
It looked good to me.
No, yeah, it looks a little bit better. I mean, I think they raised that release point a bit.
Yeah. Because he was coming at it from the chest for so much. It was like the combination of shooting from the chest and also like jumping forward so much where it looked like, and like spreading his legs where it looked like he couldn't quite like muscle it up. He doesn't seem like it's happening as dramatically anymore.
No, not as much. And I also think that I think this is kind of a general thing that I've just come to accept, that guys just don't need to have perfect shooting mechanics. And it just like if it boils down to repetition. And if Maxey is going to put in an insane amount of reps with that form, he's going to get better. And it's not like a completely broken form by any means. It's not like picturesque, but there are countless guys in the NBA who have unorthodox or like what you would consider blatantly wrong form, and they're very, very good shooters. So I think that's a situation where you just kind of write it off as I trust him to put in enough reps to the point that he's going to make it work.
Yeah. How do you feel like coaches look at that and go like, and weigh whether that they should change someone's shot or just like maximize reps, change it, like tweak it a little? How do they look at that?
I think probably a wide range of opinions. I mean, like if you look at like the guy Chip Engelland with the Spurs, right? Like he's the most world-renowned shooting coach. Like a lot of their guys who they've made good have been like massive overhauls to their form, right? Like Kawhi had a huge, like the ball was over his head in college, and now he shoots kind of in front of his face.
Yeah.
And so I think there's definitely a wide range of opinions there. It is interesting too to think about it from like a scouting perspective, where you just can't get past like the mental image of how a guy shoots. Like this happened to Desmond Bane last year, where it's like it's really hard to look at that form and be like, yeah, that's an amazing shooter who is going to shoot 40%, but he is. And it's hard to accept that mentally. I have a theory that that's why Embiid's pump fake gets everyone every time, because his form looks good aesthetically. And no matter how much it's drilled into an opposing big man's head, like this guy shoots 33%, like don't necessarily close out on him. It's just hard because his shot looks good and mentally you just think it's going in. So yeah, I mean, I think that there's just a really wide range of opinions, ranging from break it all the way down to, get the bones of the shot fine, and then just repetition.
Yeah. I feel like Maxey also gets so much lift on his shot to where he is a little bit small. He doesn't have the highest release point, and he's maybe not like the savviest ball handler, although I saw a bunch of stuff of him like trying to split the defender here and there and just pushing the ball in front of him and stuff. I think because of the lift, like the combination of enough is I believe in him now flashing a step back ability. I believe in him having enough in his bag to find ways to get open and find ways to look for his shot. Do you feel that?
I do. And it goes back to, the mentality of like hunting his shot. Like if you're looking for your shot in the NBA, you're going to get it, especially with his athletic ability and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I just think that I didn't count many times last year where I was like, oh, his low release or, the whatever is like prohibiting him from getting a shot off. I think that he has all the athleticism he needs to and the mentality that he needs to get his shots.
How many points does he need to score for you to say he's untouchable in a Dame trade?
In a summer league game or like
summer league game? How many points would he need to score in a summer league game to say like, we can't do it? Trade everybody else, trade Matisse, 17 straight picks. All the big swaps. If he puts in like 60 points in a summer league game, when does it stop? Give me a number.
57.
57. All right, there it is. We found the number. If he hits 57, then you can't trade him. I do. He is just such an easy guy to root for, man. Like,
would you rather give up like 3 additional first round picks to keep Maxey out of a Lillard trade? Would you do that?
I think absolutely. And that might be unreasonable, right? That might be like an unreasonable thing to think, where like, I think there's, on the one hand, picks are so much more valuable because then when you put a name to it, then it becomes, oh, they don't work for this, or this guy might not work, but the picks could be anything. But once they're on your team and you like them, then like one guy is like, those picks suck. They could be fucking like 28. Who gives a shit? Fuck those guys. We don't know who they are. We love this kid. And it's just hard to just detach from that. Even so, I think like 3 first round picks probably better than Maxey, but he's really good. He shouldn't have been available at 21. Thank you, Mike Muscala. We will always say the name of Mike Muscala and Mike Muscala's racist dad. It's very good. So I also like that. I feel like this is like, it was cool to see Maxey be he was the engine of the Sixers team too much last season, sadly, because they just didn't have many guys that could do what he did. But him being like the best player on this team and setting the tone on both ends of the court. Like I thought his defense was really impressive, and just his energy level of just like, I haven't played in a while. Like, I'm not stopping. I'm pressuring the ball all the time. I'm getting after it. Did you feel like, I know we talked about, like Doc has said, nobody's gone from this bad on defense to this good on defense over the course of a season, which I think is a really nice compliment. Do you feel like, can we take anything out of that in Summer League, that like he can go from passable defense to being actually a plus defender? Is that, am I so pathetic from a bad Hawks loss that like I'm dying to look at, I'm scouting Tyrese Maxey's Summer League defense? Am I just a sick fuck? Like, you can say it.
You're a sick fuck, but you're not wrong. Like I was watching that too. I mean, dude, he gets after it. Like even in the beginning of last year when his defense was not great, like it was not an effort thing, right? And he's so quick and he's got such great like core strength that he's going to be a good point of attack defender. And I think the stuff that Doc was talking about was really just like rotation stuff, back end stuff, coverages, that sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, I definitely think that he probably came into this Summer League game like, I just want to dominate all facets of this game. I'm gonna pull up from 30. I'm gonna lock up on defense. And it's tying the conversation full circle that he's self-aware and he knows where he needs to improve. And I think someone like that, like he likes to make a statement in that sense. So, I don't know if I can say that he's like taking another leap defensively, but I do think that it'll come for sure.
Yeah. I was a guy who liked Tyrell Terry coming out and knowing that he had to put on a lot of weight, and he kind of didn't put on as much as he could have.
Was he Spike's number one? Was he?
I don't remember. I try to rule that out as quickly as possible. But Maxey made him look really, really small out there and just like pushed him around. Tyrell ended up getting hot towards the end and scoring on some worse defenders, but Maxey's just good, man. I feel like it's hard to project anything from this team until we get clarity on a Ben trade and who leaves in a Ben trade and who comes back, all that stuff. But as is, if you just remove Ben from this roster and put in like some two guard, either way, unless you have like a ball dominant initiator, which is I guess what they're trying to get in the Ben trade anyway, I feel like Maxey has to like be in consideration for starting right off the bat. I think he's just too good and gives too much life not to.
Question is, at whose expense? Does Daniel come off the bench? Does Seth come off the bench? I feel like
it'd be Seth. I feel like you like Seth as a second, as like a come off, which is tough because he was great last year and he was easily their best offensive player in the Hawks series, and has proven that like, hey, with more time, I mean, he just hasn't taken enough threes. He still refuses to do it, but like he's extremely valuable offensively. But I just think because of his limitations on the defensive end, because of his limitations as far as volume shooting, and the upside that Maxey gets you of how much better he can get and potentially being like a first division starter plus, you start to project forward and go like, could this guy become Mike Conley? Could this guy become like, how good can he get? You almost owe it to the upside of Maxey to start him if he's here.
Yeah, the Conley comparison is interesting. I remember I really struggled to compare Maxey out of college because there's just not a lot of guards that size who play that physical and who are that, crafty around the rim. But yeah, and if he does stay on this roster, regardless of what happens with Ben, I think that they're gonna have to strike that balance of giving this guy as many reps as possible with like developing. Not that he's a detriment or that he's going to be a negative, but like they have to showcase him and prioritize him in some sense. So I'm with you. I definitely think that he's going to be fighting for a starting spot. And even if we just look at like where we left off in the Hawks series, by the end of it, he was like their fourth most important player. Like he was, and maybe even third. I don't know. But like that, he is definitely, you have to consider him a core part of this foundation from here on out.
Yeah. Well, we move on to Jaden Springer, who is a guy that I think you also liked very much coming out of the draft. One of the youngest guys in the draft, known primarily for his defense. High percentage but low volume shooter at Tennessee, and didn't have much of a stable system around him there. He comes in and they ask him to play off guard, in his first professional action, and he did look offensively a little bit unsure of what he was supposed to do. I think there were a couple times when his instincts kicked in and he made a couple nice passes, just like finding Paul Reed inside, just like making good hustle plays. I think there's like a very miniature version of a Jalen Suggs in there, just like kind of makes winning plays, does some things well, isn't going to have like a ton of juice with the ball in his hand outside of just like playing hard. But the defense plays immediately, and that I think is a good sign going forward. He was everywhere. He had a tough time. People weren't beating him off the dribble. He was recovering over blocks. I think hopefully the offense was just part of it was a little first game jitters and, pulling up short on some jumpers and everything. What did you think of Springer?
His defense is amazing, man. He's got that like fire hydrant build that just like you can't. It's amazing how he's able to stay in front of guys and just body up to them, and he's got great hands.
Yeah,
he could play from day one on defense. I think the offense is kind of a disaster.
Really?
Yeah, I really don't trust that shot, and
because it's slow because of where the release point is, because it just doesn't
slow
feel
and
fluid.
And it's not consistent. He's not like the release point is kind of all over the place. I mean, what's funny about it is that the story came out that he was trained by Keith Williams, right? And it reminds me, his jump shot form reminds me a tiny bit of pre-injury Markelle, doesn't it? Like,
okay.
It's a little bit strange. It's a little unorthodox. It's like kind of over his head. I don't know. I don't totally buy his offense. He did have some nice finishes around the rim, and he's able to get off 2 feet and really absorb a lot of contact there. There's just like some Zaire Smith-ness that I can't shake. I can't. Wow. It's there. And I'm sorry to say that to you, but
I mean, I love Zaire, and I think there's still many years left for Zaire to prove me right. And I will hold on to that. We take a break from the podcast to talk about our next sponsor, SeatGeek. SeatGeek. Chair nerd adjacent. We love it. Ticketing websites, they make getting to the event difficult on purpose, I think. I think they take sick pleasure, and I think they're all sick, twisted little shits. But we're not interested in those guys because we have SeatGeek. I have the SeatGeek app on my phone. It's very easy to get to. They use the color-coded stuff, which it says like this is a good deal, this is a mediocre deal. Sometimes you just need a deal, so you pick on a mediocre deal. But that's not interested. CJ, you said you're going to a concert soon, right?
Yeah, so I'm going to Firefly at the end of September, and I had the misfortune of having to buy the tickets online on the website, and it was awful. I threw up twice in the process. And all I could think of is, wow, I wish I could do this on SeatGeek.
That's disgusting. I'm very upset about that. SeatGeek makes it easier, super simple. A quick look at the App Store shows over 50,000 5-star reviews. They take a bunch of tickets all over the web, rates each deal on a scale of 1 to 10, and then displays them on a very nice, as I said, color-coded, interactive seat map where you can check out if the good deals are green, red dots are overpriced. Too much, you wait, you time it out. You wait till the day of the event, whatever it is, you find a good deal. You jump on that. It's great. And every ticket on SeatGeek is backed by their buyer guarantee, so you can shop with tickets with confidence. Don't worry, we got the hookup. Rights Ricky Sanchez hookup. It's known all over the web. You can use the code RTRS for $20 off at SeatGeek. That's $20 off your first purchase, promo code RTRS. Visit SeatGeek.com or download the SeatGeek app today. $20 off your first purchase. I feel more optimistic about his offense, especially in a combo guard role where he can work into over the next several years, work into being a guy that can create offense and stuff. Right now, he just has to be enough of a catch and shoot threat, enough of a secondary ball handler. I feel like Markelle's shot, at least in my mind, prior to the injury, which it's hard to remember the injury. What are we saying? Right. Is like, at least it felt smooth to me. His whole game felt smooth to me. So the shot also seemed like it was smooth, not quick necessarily, but pretty smooth. Springer's shot is slow in my mind, and it needs to speed up. And I think the thing I like about Springer's shot and gives me optimism is that he does have nice touch. I think the ball like lands softly on the rim, whereas other guys that are similar, like questionable shooters, I feel like shoot a heavy ball. I mean, we talk about Jonah Bolden as the heaviest ball in basketball history, but I think Springer, he had that nice, like, it was a scoop finish over like the outstretched arms of like 2 or 3 guys. I thought that was nice, just demonstrating like nice body control and composure. I think the defense is good enough, and he's really just like my kind of player. Like he really is like 100%, because he's similar. I try to play like that. Whether I accomplish that is not what I do, but I at least aspire to that kind of role. And so I root for him. I think he's gonna be good. And I think there was an interview with Doc where during the game where they asked him, like, do you think he's going to crack your rotation? And Doc didn't even like entertain that idea. It wasn't, I'm not even going to answer that question. The idea that I hated playing Maxey during the season. So I'm not going to play this fucking guy. Not a chance. But I think I don't feel any, I think when you watched Evan Turner, I mean, you always bring it back, but like Evan Turner in Summer League was a disaster. And I was straight up convincing myself that it wasn't. And I didn't feel that with Springer. I just felt like he's young. He's got to figure it out. He's one of the youngest guys out there. And the defense right now is like top tier.
Yeah. I think that the easiest like comp path for him is DeAnthony Melton. And he's much younger than Melton was when he came out.
Yeah. A little bit weirder because Melton had that sophomore season, like suspension bullshit. Right.
But I mean, the tools of that are there. It's all a matter, as it kind of was with Melton, of just the shot has to get there. And, I think Springer's just going to be like, there's just 2 roads for him. And it's either Zaire Smith or DeAnthony Melton. And he'll be one of the 2. 50-50 chance.
The total fine road. I really think that I think he can go beyond Melton as an offensive player. I see the ability as a passer, as like a knifing ball handler, to find ways to impact the game positively and like veer towards the like slightly distant but still possible like Drew Holiday path. Like I think it's a small fraction of a road, but I think there's a chance he can ride it.
No, people are gonna think that that's like ridiculous, but like there's like nobody in that lane that you could point to. Like there's so many guys who are not ever going to be as good as Drew Holiday, who I've compared to Drew Holiday. Of course, there's very few players like him. Yeah. And I hear what you're saying. Yeah. I mean, that is like the dream path for him.
But even Drew, I mean, like if Drew is Seth Curry on defense, there's a chance he's not an NBA player. Like his offense is good and has gotten good, but like defense is his calling card, and he's not a naturally super gifted offensive player. Like he has sort of like IQ'd himself into being solid, and he's physical, and like his strength has allowed him to do that. And there's a lot of similarities with Springer in that sense, because he is a really physical player, and he can get to the line pretty easily in a way that Drew actually has never shown the propensity to do. But touch wise, Drew doesn't give you the like, I mean, look, he won a championship. He was excellent. I love him. But like, I don't think that Drew, I mean, look, this is a Summer League pod. Spike isn't here to make any face at me. So I'm going to say that the Drew Holiday outcome is not only possible, but happening. And off of that very alcohol-induced thought, we go to a sponsor, Stateside Vodka, which I'm drinking right now, having some of the blood orange, and so is CJ. CJ drinking straight from the bottle.
That's right.
That? We love Stateside. I enjoy their stuff. People now text me whenever they see Stateside in their local places. I'm drinking the blood orange right now, and it is very tasty. There's the cucumber, the lime cucumber. There's also the black cherry, which I think is very tasty as well. We love Stateside. They sponsored the Corner 3 newsletter with Zoe, who I love. And Zoe was texting me already the other day saying he's already saying his goodbyes to Tyrese Maxey, and it'll be sad. But we go Stateside, made in Philly, gluten-free, distilled 7 times, kosher, no added sugar or artificial sweeteners. Go to stateside.vodka.com. Must be 21 to drink. And we'll say drink responsibly, and deliver your takes while drunk responsibly as well. B-Ball Paul, We want B-ball Paul, who is too old to be doing some immature stuff on the court. We want him to just stay in a box offensively. Set screens, rebound, roll hard, offensive boards. The occasional funky, almost clumpy flump, weird little hook shot in there. But it seems like B-ball Paul really wants to do more weird shit. What did you think of Paul's first Summer League game?
Dude, like, what even is Paul Reed? I'm so confused by him. He's like a Jeremy Grant, like Dwayne Dedman hybrid. I don't know what to do with him. I think that there's a lot to like defensively.
A lot to like.
Yes. I just don't know, like, what is his bread and butter offensively, and can he stay within the confines of whatever that is? Like,
it's not bread nor butter. It's like sort of like an odd like smoked pastry that is sort of just like, well, it feeds you, but it isn't. Is that really what you want right now? But it works.
Right. That's well said. Yeah, I don't know, man. He's not like an awesome lob threat. He's not a pick and pop guy. I just like, I don't even know what to tell him to do. Like, is he just like a sit in the dunker spot guy? I don't know. And is the defense good enough to keep him on the floor is the question.
I think the defense he's just a really weird presence. And I don't think weird is inherently bad. I think he's, no matter what, and at this point he's 23. At this point, he's going to be, he could clean up some things. He can improve some things for sure. But he's always going to be weird. And so he's always going to make coaches like want to just like lay down on the court during the game and like take deep breaths. But he gets his hands on a lot of balls. He just makes stuff happen. And he runs weird and he dribbles super weird and sometimes poorly. But he has just like a knack for it. And I think, it's not like he hasn't been successful. I think that's the interesting thing that Daryl has done is like, maybe this is that he drafted Paul before that, but Paul was the MVP of the G League last year. Like, that is production in a good league. And same thing with Petrushev is that he was MVP of the Adriatic. So like getting guys that have produced at a level and also have upside and things to tap into, I think is an interesting. It feels like this is something the Sixers haven't had in a while, where guys that are like, hey, I've succeeded, not just I've averaged 5 points and 2 rebounds here, but maybe I can do it. I think that there's enough proof of concept. He's succeeded. He can play defensively. He can create enough. I mean, like 24 points per game, I think, in the G League off of just like junk, like junk points. As a backup center option, I just. The action that he generates as a defensive player really makes me wish that he was just the backup center and Drummond wasn't around.
Let me throw you a hypothetical.
Please.
Let's say that the Sixers trade for Lillard and everything works out perfectly and they go to the finals next year and they're playing the Warriors, and game 1, you need like 10 minutes a game to back up Embiid. Who are you going with? Andre Drummond or B-Ball Paul?
I mean, not having seen what Drummond did for the season that allowed them to get to the finals. Right now, I would say I want B-Ball Paul, especially in a Warriors series.
Yeah.
Because you need guys that can switch out on the perimeter, and he can do it. And he's just long enough to impact shots. He recovers. He plays hard. He's just weird, and I love him for how weird he is. And I have a B-Ball Paul button-down shirt and shorts combination, and he's just gonna do his little thing and still end up with like at least 5 steals and blocks in every game that he ever plays in.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what to make of him, man. I hope that he turns into the best, weirdest backup center that they've ever had, but who knows? Can we talk about Isaiah Joe before we go?
Let's do it. Oh, you think we're done? We have so many more guys to get. We're going to go through there is no one to stop us. Good. That's what you have to understand, is that I've now had almost a full stateside vodka, and Spike is nowhere to be found. He's gone. So yes, Isaiah Joe, let's do it.
Isaiah Joe is just, I'm a big Isaiah Joe guy. I had him, I think like 20th on my big board last year. The guy, like, he was first on the team last year in 3-point attempts per 100 possessions. He lets it fly. He's not afraid. There were a couple of attempts that he took from like flying around screens that was kind of new for him. A lot of people don't know that Isaiah Joe played point guard in high school. Like, he can handle, he can pass a little bit. Unfortunately, I don't think he's like gained a ton of muscle, which was the big thing.
I needed him to, and he didn't.
Yeah. But like, I think he's playable as a 8th or 9th man. Like, he gets shots up, and he doesn't make like negative plays, and he's not going to be a saloon door on defense.
Yeah. He's just a guy who fucking loves to shoot, man. Mm-hmm. I don't know how hard he works. Doc never brings him up when he talks about Maxey and B-Ball Paul, but he's just a guy who loves to shoot. And like, we need guys who love to shoot. He just like, this, all he does is like, I fucking love to shoot. It's my whole shit is shooting from 3.
I've been looking for those guys forever. Like, forever. Before the process use. Remember when Jody Meeks was a thing? And was like he came in and would shoot, and it was like, what the hell is this guy?
Yeah. Just the willingness. Simply the willingness. And he has it. And I agree that he does have some, I don't know that you're going to ever want him as a secondary creator, but he's not a 0. He has like, I think he's faster with the ball than Korkmaz, but in the same way that Korkmaz can like make a pass, he can make a play. He can dribble out of trouble from time to time. He's not a total dud there. Yeah. And the defense is good. The team defense is really good. He's always taking charges. He's always seems to be in the right spot. He sneaks through like screens that he's trying to get over. Got some decent hands, and it's going to come down to him eventually having to put on weight. And it's frustrating, I'm sure, for Doc that he didn't put it on the summer. So maybe he'll still be out of the rotation. But this might be a summer league of like, hey, depending on what the return is for a Ben trade, if the Sixers say like, you can't take Maxey or Matisse, like, this is a summer league for Isaiah Joe to work himself into not just a throw in, but like, that guy could be good. Like, that guy could be legitimate. That guy could be, people look at him like Landry Shamet. Maybe better defensively, I think.
I have zero doubt that Daryl is on the phone right now convincing someone that Isaiah Joe is Gary Trent. Like, he's definitely making that sales pitch.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, that's the good thing when you really think about it. Like, they really can put out some lineups around Embiid that have like crazy shooting, like with Danny and Isaiah Joe and Niang and those types of guys. Like, and if they get Dame, it's like they could really have a dynamic where a little bit like the Jazz last year, where it's like you just have so many guys who are willing shooters and can put the ball on the floor a little bit, and things just hum. Like, the offense just works. So I think, if Isaiah Joe can be a real rotation player, they really can trot out some crazy lineups.
Do you trust Doc to be the kind of coach that would allow them to run that kind of offense?
It's a good question. I don't know. Doc, like, he's never been a guy who is like, I think Brett, to a fault, was like obsessed with like this Spurs pass and kick offense, quick decisions, that type of thing. I don't think Doc is of that same mold. I think he's just like has a recognition for what works and is like, we're going to just run pick and rolls. And even when they have, when he's coaching Joel, it's like, we're just going to post the shit out of Joel. So yeah, I don't think that's really his MO. I don't think he's like opposed to it, but yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to have a real hard and fast offensive ethos that he's like, this is the kind of offense my teams run. He does seem adaptable in that way to like whatever his talent lends itself to. But it also seems like sometimes to his detriment, he will let his players do what they're comfortable with, even if that is not effective, efficient offense. And that's how you saw everybody kind of resort to some of their worst habits. Tobias over the course of the season, going back to the Tobias of old, even though he was better for sure, but like we need some guys letting shots off, and that's why a guy like Korkmaz, a guy like Niang who shot like 9 threes per 36, a guy like Isaiah Joe who I would love to see crack the rotation, especially if a couple guys get moved. I think you just need those guys around them because there's just not like Tobias is good, but Tobias's man is doubling off him to cover Joel, to double Joel in the post. And we need guys to not do that. We need them to be like, if I go off him for even a second, this shot's going up. And I don't think there's enough players that this. I mean, Seth became that over the course of the season, even with his unwillingness to shoot. But we need guys to be like, we need to terrify the defense and be like, I can't double Joel. And that has to be the constant threat of defenses being like, what do I do? They're going to beat me one way or the other.
Yeah. Tobias in the playoffs. I looked this up like a week ago, so I might be slightly off with these, but I think I remember this correctly. In the playoffs, Tobias Harris took, I think, 5 3-point attempts per 100 possessions, and Giannis took like 4.7.
That's rough. All right, we take our final break from the podcast to talk about one of my favorite people and realtors, Adam Kasabi, the official realtor of the process. So people talk about buying a home or a condo or a townhome or whatever, and whether it's a good time to buy or a bad time to buy or a great time to sell or any of this stuff. And it seems like they're all just making it up. It seems like everyone just says the same thing, being like, I heard this one thing, and so now I'll repeat it with a level of confidence that I don't actually have at all. I'm just sort of recycling the thing that I heard. Well, that's not what you get with Adam Kasabi. Adam Kasabi you get with so much experience and intelligence, but in a digestible, easy to interact with way. And what does Adam know? Adam knows the Delaware beaches. So if you want a house at the Delaware beaches, we all know their names: Rehoboth, Dewey, Lewis. Lewis is spelled weird. That'll get you. Or Bethany Beach. Delaware Beach homes, less expensive than the Jersey Shore, less crowded, limited property taxes, all that stuff. Adam's got it all taken care of. The entire state of Delaware, at least as big as I could reach. Look how big Delaware is. Look at all the space if you're watching the YouTube.
Huge.
So big. They could do a ton of stuff with it, but Adam's got it all. He's got the wingspan to touch from one side of Delaware to the other. He's got you. So if you're looking anywhere else, you can also call Adam. He'll help you find the right realtor in the area. Great guy. Not many realtors, I would say, want to affiliate themselves with a losing franchise, but Adam has the balls to do it, and we love him for it. If you want to refinance or need a mortgage for your new home, Adam is your guy. Give him a call, shoot him an email. And that number is 302-864-8643, or email him at adam@processrealtor.com. He named his email Process Realtor. Just almost sick. What a sick, twisted realtor who is so good at his job. You have to give him a call or an email. That's Adam Kasabi, the official realtor of the process.
Like that's the category he's in terms of like just refusal to shoot.
That's a rough stat. That makes me want to unplug my microphone and just end the podcast right now. But we won't, because we have to talk about Filip Petrusev. Petrusev from Gonzaga, 2 years at Gonzaga, 1 year at Mega, one MVP in the Adriatic. I would say I was impressed by his verticality around the rim, and he blocked a bunch of shots. He looked good doing it. He got up on it. He didn't seem as willing of a shooter from three as I wanted him to, but the foul shots looked good. The release looked clean. What did you think about Petrusev?
I was impressed, man, and he was just a real a physical presence at the rim that I didn't expect and didn't remember from his Gonzaga days. Like he had a couple of blocks that were like, whoa. Yeah. That was just like a real like rim protector presence. I like him, man. I'm a fan of his game. Like how rare is it in the NBA to have guys who can knock down threes and like be big and tall at the rim? I mean, there's like less than 10 guys like that in the NBA who are actually playable. So I definitely like that as a flyer. And I like he impressed me. Just like he looked big on an NBA court, and that's a lot of guys. Like you'll see them, they look to be a certain size in college and they get to an NBA floor and it doesn't look the same. But I thought, just from a size perspective, he looked good.
I agree. The Mavs don't really have. That's a pretty bad summer league team, and I like guys on the Mavs summer league team. I like guys on every summer league team. It's my nature. But we'll see if he looks similarly big against better teams with more physicality up front. But I agree with you. I just like, in theory, hey, we have 2 late seconds. They bought one of them, which is a really interesting move in retrospect. Like, just the morning of the draft, they bought a pick for $2 million, and they just used it to take another backup center. And I just 2 backup centers in the span of a couple picks. I just thought that was very interesting. But I like in theory, like, hey, there really aren't that many, aside from, take out the star caliber level players. There aren't that many legitimate stretch fives who can also protect the rim. Mm-hmm. There aren't. There's very few. Like
even if we like stretch that category to like the most ridiculous extent, like Luke Cornett. There's like there's no Luke Cornett's running around. Like there's just none of those guys.
Very few Luke Cornett's running around, which speaks to the fact that I've wanted Luke Cornett for 3 seasons now. But yeah, I think hey, we have these 2 late seconds. There's a 12% chance that either of them becomes a really good stretch 5 with rim protection. I think Bassi is a really good rim protector, good rebounder, and has proven himself to be an efficient foul shooter for 3 years in a row. So let's see if that range can step out. And Petrushev, same thing, has worked on his 3, has shown in the Adriatic League that he does have an outside shot, and now like working on his inside game a little bit, blocking shots, etc. Like, one of those guys, in addition to B-Ball Paul, who's already a good defensive player, even if he's not like a traditional 5, he's just like a good defensive player out there with a very weird, funky jump shot. One of those guys has to work out. And you don't need all of them to work out. You just need one of them to work out. And for to say the case that, like, I think there's a above 50% chance that one of those 3 guys ends up being a playable backup 5 in the NBA. And you don't need to be more than that because we have Joel. So we just need one of those guys to hit. And I think that is a good use of resources for 3 second-round picks in their 50s.
The Sixers at one point had several of those guys, and multiple of them worked out, and they let all of them go. In Nerlens was a high pick, so I don't know if he really counts, but like Rashawn, Jahlil Okafor, Dwayne Dedman, Jeremy.
Okafor didn't work. Okafor didn't work out.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, like, and now we let all of them go, and now we're trying it again. We're starting it over. But it's the right thing to do. I mean, I hope it works out.
I agree. Okay, next up. You think we're done, but we're not. Aaron Henry. I love Aaron Henry. I think that he is exactly the kind of player that they should be getting. They already sent him to a 2-way spot as an undrafted player. 3 years at Michigan State, lefty. Not a beautiful looking shot for a lefty, but lefties just have a nicer shot in general. So I'm happy to see it. The Sixers have not had many left-handed players for my lifetime. Thaddeus Young being one of the last few, and Roten. And obviously neither of them have good jumpers. But he didn't get much of an opportunity to shine offensively, but I thought defensively he was just like, I am a ready-made role player that can defend 1 through 4 right now, and this is why you signed me to a 2-way contract. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. I like his game. I think he's a good, illustration of. I remember, we did the draft podcast last year, and I talked a lot about, my 3-and-D theory that like guys like this are just kind of like crawling around, and he's a good example of that. Like he is a great use of resources on a 2-way contract. There are probably guys, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but like guys who got drafted in like the 30s or 40s. So I'm like, are they really that much better than Aaron Henry? Right.
Yeah.
Like, so, I mean, I definitely think he's got a chance of being a rotation player. He'll hopefully, maybe he'll be like the Sixers, Daniel House,
Yes, that is exactly what I've been thinking about. And I think that if they don't go get Daniel House from Houston, I think that this would be a perfect guy to fit that role. I just think like your point last year, which I've thought about a lot, is like getting a guy, and maybe you didn't think Mikal Bridges was this kind of guy because he's just too good at both shooting and defense already. But wasting a top, even like mid first round pick on a guy that's like pretty good at one thing and like hopefully good at another. You can find those guys, Royce O'Neal's, in the undrafted pool because there's so many like 6'4" to 6'7" guys that can do that. And I think Aaron Henry really is the prototype of this. Kind kind of player. And I think like it's just nice. It feels like we have a wealth of youth, which seems rare for a team that is almost contending as much as the Sixers are.
That's definitely true. I mean, there's almost like the two separate like generations of this roster where it's like, you know, Embiid and Tobias and Ben, who are all in their primes. And then you have guys like Maxey and Shake and Isaiah Joe and B-Ball Paul. And even, I guess you could say Korkmaz is in there, but he's kind of transcended that. But yeah, there's this like second generation of like a bunch of young guys. A lot of them have promise, and some of them are going to hit, some of them aren't. And I think that's, you know, they're doing exactly the right thing. You know, I would say, you know, outside of these types of guys, I've been kind of disappointed with how Daryl has worked the margins this summer. I just don't think they've like done much. But those types of things I think are really good. Like, but I meant to put this in my article, and I'm kind of shifting us a little bit. But like, how do you feel about their offseason so far? Because I've just been like, this is really unimaginative to me. Like, it's so small, and I can't believe I'm like even complaining that like they didn't trade for Grayson Allen, but it's like, why not? Like 2 second-round picks and Sam Merrill, like come on, and like there's just like, I feel like it's a ridiculous thing to ask for, but like every year there are good NBA players who get traded for like nothing. Mm-hmm. And every year in Houston, Daryl was so good at getting those guys. They got Trevor Ariza for the second time for like nothing in like 2014. And those types of things are like how you work the margin to get those types of players. And it's ridiculous to say like, why didn't they trade for a good player and give up nothing? But like, I've just been a little surprised that they haven't taken any swings at all.
Yeah, I like the George Niang signing. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's necessarily demonstrating any massive creativity aside from like he's a backup four that shoots better than Mike Scott. I think right now the whole team is in such a holding pattern because of the Ben thing. And it's hard to say like, let's trade a couple second round picks or even like a lottery protected first or something in a trade that would help them a little bit when you're just like, but we don't know what the Ben thing is going to be. So like, they can look at a backup for Tobias and go like, yeah, we need that right now. And they can say, well, we should re-sign Danny. And I guess if I would have kept George Hill, but I guess they either came to an agreement with his agent of like, he wants to go, or they decided we have more flexibility if he's not here. I think everything is just like, we are waiting until we can manufacture Damian Lillard to the Sixers. And it's hard to do that kind of thing. It's hard to say we're waiting on one guy and one trade to happen. Like everybody's staring, like everyone's telegraphing their pass of like, it should be a 3-way trade with the Warriors and Blazers where Ben goes to the Warriors and we get Dame. Like it should just be that. And so we're looking at it so hard, it feels like it's not going to be. But I also feel like trading for Grayson Allen wouldn't matter if the Ben trade doesn't happen anyway. You know what I mean? So it's like, It'd be like, hey, we really need to buy a couch. We have nowhere to sit. But like, look, I just got this spoon. And like, we like a spoon. Like everybody needs a spoon, but it's like, we really need to sit down. Like we can't sit, then we're just standing around all the time. So I think it's so integral to what their team is that I don't blame them for saying like, well, let's not trade anything of value right now because we might need it in this trade that is, you know, fully sort of attracting and diverting all of our attention and resources to be like, this has to happen. We need this. How can we make this thing come to life that we really need? Because they're not going to win a championship with a team as currently constructed, and they're not going to win a championship on a Grayson Allen trade unless the Ben trade works out.
No. Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I do think that they're probably pretty laser focused on the Dame situation or just the Ben situation in general. I did get like PTSD flashback of when we would talk about, why hasn't Colangelo added anything? It's like, well, he's waiting for this year of free agency, or whatever. He's waiting for LeBron or whatever. And it's like, you can do both. Like,
yeah. But do you think people don't like dealing with Daryl? Do you think maybe it was in Houston. I don't know. I feel like everybody hates Philadelphia and feels resentment towards towards the city and us and everything. Do you feel like and maybe the way Daryl left Houston and immediately signed in Philly, I don't know. It just feels like nobody wants to deal with Daryl because they're worried about his reputation as this like wheeler and dealer that's always going to win every trade, the same way that Sam had, although Daryl's obviously better at navigating the like personal dynamics of that more. But is there I don't know. There feels like there's a stink. It feels like there's some stink with the organization, with the team, whether it's with agents or other teams or players even. We just talked to Tyler Tynes about it a little bit. It just something doesn't feel quite right, and maybe it won't feel right until Ben gets moved for a package that we like, and then we can start actually winning and get away from all this, chaos.
Yeah, I don't want to say that. I don't think that like Daryl is like disliked or anything like that. I do think that I do think that teams have probably kind of like figured out what he does by now. And there was a John Hollinger piece recently where he talked about how like the Rockets make a zillion trade offers and like they're always, asking for way too much. And their strategy is basically like gaslight you into thinking that like this player is worth this much. And then eventually you like meet them halfway. And I don't know that that's definitely their plan for Ben, but it sure seems like it, right? Like, I don't know, but like there definitely was a reputation for Daryl in Houston of just like some of the shit he would offer was just like insane. Like, listen, man, like Daniel House is all right, but like we're not giving you like our like franchise player for him. Like, you know what I mean? So I don't think that it has. I would say that the distinction between him and Sam is probably that like there was a lot of reporting around Sam as like bitterness of dealing with him, like agents and like that sort of thing. I don't think that quite exists for Daryl, at least that I know of. But I do think that there's like, when you see your phone ringing and it says Daryl Moore, you're like, oh, I see what the fuck this is going to be.
Yeah, here's a guy trying to fuck me kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. All right, we've talked too much about things that we've gained too much of an audience. We have to lose them right now. We're talking about Rajon Tucker. Okay. The Sixers gave him a second two-way contract for this year. Rajon is such an interesting player to me because he is a fairly competent shooter and good straight line driver, decent passer, like can make some things happen. I wish he was a better defensive player. I wish that he did some of the like what you see Davion Mitchell do to James Bouknight and just like stay in front of him and like body him and use his physicality and athleticism and strength to be like, you're not getting by me. I'm a maniac right now. And I just don't see it enough. And without that, I struggle to see, even though the athleticism is fun, even though the like very impressive layup line dunks are very fun, I struggle to see, unless he starts to like take that on defensively, I struggle to see how he has a role as an NBA player ever.
Yeah, there's a tiny bit of Justin Anderson-ness to his defense where it's like he looks like he's doing so much, but it's really not very effective. I don't know. I do think that he has like his athleticism is completely legit. Like, he's not the Justin Anderson where it's like, I think this guy's actually like too thick and he's too big to like guard who we want him to guard. Mm-hmm. But he's just, Rajon Tucker just doesn't, there's very little like evidence of him being a plus defender. As much as he looks the part and as much as his athleticism is up to par, you just don't see, like you said, those clips of him getting like in really impressive stops or things like that. So I don't know. I mean, he's probably an example of what we were talking about with 3-and-D guys earlier, where it's just like, it's not that he like we call him 3-and-D, but it's like, does he really do either? You know?
Yeah. It's hard to see. I like him. I want to like him more. I don't see the like creativity that I like dream of for Zaire. I just sort of see not a very smart basketball player who's super athletic that has more offensive skill than I think I'm always surprised by his level of like, that was a nice finish. That was a nice shot. Like he has something, but I still don't think it's quite enough like playable wise where you trust him to do really anything on an NBA court aside from like dominate the G League. And a guy that I would actually rather sign to a two-way contract, especially in a world where if they trade Maxey and Springer becomes the like combo guard of the future, is a guy that I do kind of like a lot in Dacian Nix. G League Ignite, undrafted, I think they said lost 15 pounds between the end of the G League season and Summer League. And he looked it. He was definitely chubby in the G League and looks like he slimmed down a lot. The shot was a concern. That's why he didn't get drafted. But he seems to just he's big enough. He's 6'5", I think. He's still thick even without the extra weight. And he just has a sense of himself. He's a feel for the game on the basketball court that I just gravitate to. And I think that he will eventually find his way onto an NBA roster as like a pass first, eventual solid defensive player, point guard. What do you think about Dacian?
Yeah, the weight thing is interesting. Like I can't think of any other recent examples like that, but like it definitely is a thing where there are like more guys running around in the NBA or fringe NBA who are like, they just needed to like drop a certain amount of weight and they really transform themselves. But how old is he?
I think he's 19, 20.
I thought he was older for some reason. But yeah, I mean, he's definitely interesting. I don't really see. I think I would just rather use the roster spots or two-way spots elsewhere. Maybe as a place on the Blue Coats. I almost said 87ers.
They're always 87ers to us.
Yeah, RIP. But yeah, I can't say I'm like a super fan or anything.
Yeah. I like filling the pipeline. I'm already starting to try to cool myself down on being sad when Maxey is dominating somewhere else. And so I'm already trying to get excited about somebody else. Nix is not a guy I loved. I didn't have him like high on my board or anything, but I think the upside is there, and he wasn't set up to succeed in G League because he wasn't playing with a lot of shooters. And I think give him there's a little, I mean, this is for the diehards, but there's a little like Kendall Marshall with more interior, like Andre Miller's physicality inside and a little more defense. And that to me is good. Like I said that sentence, and that to me is like a positive thing, and I'm happy about it.
Kendall Marshall had like one good NBA season, right?
I mean, almost, or none, or just a lot of. He's a better passer, but I think Nick. There's a feel to Nick that I see, and I was like, I think he's just a basketball player, and I think he'll figure it out.
Kendall Marshall was supposed to be the successor to Ish Smith, right? I mean,
he was.
Some people theorize that like that's kind of why Sam lost his job. Was like they blew it, not bringing back Ish and thinking they could like paper over him with Kendall Marshall.
Imagine that being why.
Yeah.
Like if there was some like action thriller quest to like find out like the one reason why Sam Hinkie like lost his job and like and Adam Silver like, you know, brought the might of the league onto him because of what he was doing, and in some locked away somewhere is the answer like he let Ish Smith walk because he thought Kendall Marshall could be that role. What a disappointing, what a bullshit fucking thing that would be. What assholes that the number of like tragedies that have happened in this organization that could have been prevented had Sam not talked himself into Kendall Marshall. Like it really is tragedies.
The number of like broken families, like the Colangelos would be fine. They'd be on a boat somewhere, just like chilling.
Just everybody blames Sam for what they did. It's like the Seinfeld finale. Just everyone coming to Sam and being like, "You asshole, you fucking piece of shit." I'm just gonna say a couple of names. First of all, I think it's nice that the Sixers continue their tradition of getting guys' brothers, with Danny Green's brother being on the team.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. In Indiana, right? Devontae Green?
I had no idea they were brothers.
Yeah. Danny Green's at least for Keith, it was Danny. Yeah, I think so. Keith Pompey said it's Danny's brother.
Like what?
Yeah.
like it's like whatever, but that was it always puzzled me, the Terry Harris thing, where it's like, why do we need to like roll out the red carpet to give Tobias $180 million? Like, very odd. We're like doing like handshake backdoor favors so that we can give the guy the most ridiculous contract in the league.
Not the most ridiculous contract in the league. Hang
Top
on.
5.
Okay. I'll bend to that. I don't think it's that big of a deal to be like, hey, Danny, we got your brother. Hey, Tobias, we got your brother. The 180, I think, is a bigger deal than the like, we'll give your brother a summer league shot so he can like get a contract in like Greece or whatever.
Right.
Anybody? Does Braxton Key interest you at all? Anything about Braxton Key? I thought he was. I was surprised that they rolled him out as basically the backup 5, because he's kind of a prototypical wing type. He was actually listed as a guard in college, which is very odd. But he's like 6'8". They use him as like a roll man. Played at Virginia and Arkansas, I believe. Arkansas, Alabama, one of them. I'm saying this and I don't believe it, but I do like he was a blue coat last year. Any Braxton Key thoughts?
No, man. Didn't he blow the lob from Springer?
He did blow it. Yeah.
That was a really nice pass. Probably the best pass he made. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he pops enough athletically. Just strikes me as a guy who will have a nice career in the Adriatic League.
Yeah, that's fair. I texted years ago when Charles Matthews tore his ACL that to go get Charles Matthews, put him on a 2-way, just someone in the Sixers front office. And for Charles Matthews to be on this team and to look as bad as he does, it really is disappointing to me because I really did believe in Charles Matthews and guy. I mean, look, guy looked good in a jersey at Michigan. I saw something there. I'm so happy Spike's not here to hear this. This is great. This is awesome.
There is a certain like victory in guys like that they're even like playing basketball. If you like took up for them, the fact that Charles Matthews is even like on a summer league roster is a win for you.
All
like,
right.
Like Jake Pavorsky was like irrationally high on a guy named Robert Franks from Washington State.
Sure.
He's like kicking around on the Magic on a 2-way.
Mm-hmm.
And like, to me, that's like a huge win that this guy is like playing basketball for a living. And Jake was high on him because he was like on no one's radar. And Jake was literally the first person to like say like, hey, I think this guy could make money playing basketball.
That's fun. That's very fun. Mitch Ballack, Creighton, any thoughts? Shooter?
Oh, Mitch Ballack thoughts.
Very Dakota Mathias for Mitch Ballack.
Yeah.
He plays hard at Creighton. He definitely played really hard on that Creighton. And it's a fun Creighton team, and I'm bummed that the year before when they had Tyshawn on the team still, I'm bummed that they didn't get a chance to play in the tournament because of COVID.
Yeah.
This Sixers team should win a Summer League championship, and I like that Paul Reed said that is the goal, and I believe him when he says that. Do you?
I definitely believe him when he says that. I think that they'll probably sit Maxey at some point, so I don't think they'll get it, right? Like if Maxey keeps playing like this, they'll just be like, all right, that's good enough. You've beaten the game. I
agree. I find it weird. I mean, it's a Summer League roster, so I'm not going to read into it too much, but like the fact that they played Paul Reed and Petrusev at the same time and in the starting lineup is interesting to me. I wonder if they eventually move one out and Aaron Henry in so they can see both of them play like straight up center, or it's because they don't trust either of them to be a full-time center at this point, or they're saying, Mike, it's fucking Summer League, chill the fuck out. Don't worry about our lineup construction.
That's certainly possible. Who is the coach of their Summer League team? I didn't even pay attention.
I didn't pay attention either. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But Frank Mason is on the team, but he's injured, so maybe he'll come in at some point. All right, we've beaten this as far as it could go. CJ is dying to just edit this fucking thing, but this is what you get when a non-Spike podcast. This is it. We did it exactly as we were supposed to.
We certainly did.
Thank you, Mike O'Connor, for coming on. We'll do it again. We'll make Spike move again at some point, and we'll cut his internet or something. This has been the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Mike Levin. Thank you to Tyler Tynes. Thank you to Mike O'Connor. I'm going to ask him, Mike, are you down with TTP?
Yeah, lickface.
If you don't fuck with me, then I won't fuck with you.
If you don't fuck with me,
then I won't fuck with you.
but if you fuck with me,
I'm gonna fucking kill you!
That's the plan B.